How about a round of applause? Or a woo? Woo! Woos work. Big thanks to Floater. Floater giving us the music tonight. Can we get a woo or two for Floater? That was 3 woos. All right, we're gonna bring up our founder in a minute here. But first I want to say a couple things. Everything you see tonight was put together by this little team of superstars that are to my left over here. You're right. This is Allie's team. They work tirelessly all year to put this together. They managed to put together at least $40,000 of donations that went towards this event that go directly towards the foundation. Programs for women, young women, girls, all up and down Monmouth and Northern Ocean County. OisF continues to expand. They're a nice little group here in Southern Monmouth that continues to get bigger and bigger. Allie likes to say, if you don't know what OisF is about, you will by the time you leave here. What OisF is for me, I'm supposed to be on a guy's golf outing in the Poconos and coaching my son's all-star game, and I'm not doing either because I love this event, and I love the ability to come out here and share great vibes with these people. This is a great program. They do a number of wonderful things for the area, and I mean, you're going to hear from Allie in a second. Yeah, you'll be amazed when you hear her testimony. Is there anything else I want to say? Yeah, a little business stuff. You guys are perusing the gifts in the back there. Continue to do so. You got about an hour before we call last call. Make sure you're putting your door prizes in the basket right at the corner of the tent here. And there is also the restaurant box, which is restaurant board. Yeah, it's a board. And that has over $1,000 in gift cards to local restaurants. So it's $20 for a chance to win $1,000 in gift cards. Not a bad deal. So without further ado, I want to ask for your undivided attention away from me and over to Allie. We would not be here if it weren't for her vision and her tirelessness. And thank you all for supporting her and supporting this event. Round of applause for Allie.
Can you hear me? Okay. All right, I'll stay up on it. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here at our second annual Waves of Change fundraiser. I'm going to read a lot because that's just kind of how I have to roll here because I'm a little bit nervous. But before I say a few words about the OisF and what we're all about, I would like to take a second to thank these women over here who have been on the fundraising committee. Not only are we so appreciative at the OisF for all the time that they put in the past number of months making each aspect of this event work, but their creativity and their energy was truly inspiring to me. I always struggle in times like this when words really don't have any meaning compared to what I'm feeling in my heart, and that's definitely one of these moments. So thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, yes, for sure. Thank you also to the Board of Trustees, everybody who is here tonight, and to all the volunteers that help us at all of our events all year long. I also wanted to take a special moment to thank a few people. Carol, who's Amy's mom, whose name I'm gonna butcher, Carol, my mom, Debbie Underhill, who put together all these baskets. That was an incredible feat, and I'm so thankful for their help. Chris Dorco for taking on all the random odd jobs that are always there without complaining, and since day one believing in the vision of the OisF and always being there to support the organization whatever way he could. Andy, who was been here literally since 12 p.m. helping set up, doing whatever there was to do. He's incredible. Thank you, Andy. And lastly, and especially, Amy Doobie. Amy is an incredible woman, and by far one of my most trusted and beloved people on earth. I I am thankful every single day for Amy, not only for her work on this event and every OisF event, but for her leadership on the board and for her overall dedication and the heart that she puts into furthering our mission every day. Amy has had a tremendous influence on the direction of the OisF and the amazing things we are accomplishing today. And not to embarrass her, but she deserves a gigantic round of applause. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ali Scaduto. I am the founder of the OisF. I am a lot of things to a lot of people. I am a mom, I am a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a beer connoisseur, and I'm not exaggerating when I say the Waves of Change is the best beer I've ever had. I am a really subpar surfer, but I am really good at laying on my board past the break. It's my jam. I went to a great college and was an All-American field hockey player, broke a number of college records. I've traveled the world and had many adventures. I graduated from law school with honors and am a full-time practicing corporate lawyer today. I am a lot of things. I'm telling you this not because I think I'm so accomplished, I'm not. I'm telling you this because on top of all of these things, I'm also a survivor of child abuse from a non-blood relative many years ago. And while I'm the one standing here in front of you tonight, quite exposed, I am not alone. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will be in an abusive relationship in their lifetime right here in New Jersey. Statistically speaking, this is over 100 of you out there tonight. And if I ask for a show of hands, I'm sure that almost all of you know someone, a loved one, only a degree or two away that has been abused or been a victim of domestic violence. Abuse does not discriminate. It comes in many forms and transcends every community, every race, every socioeconomic level, and exists quite prevalently right here in southern Monmouth County. Most often, those who are in an abusive relationship or who have survived one do so alone and in silence. And in the first 35 years of my life, I spoke of my experience to no one, other than my girl's dad and best friend since I was the age of 11. But I was lucky. In spite of my silence, I learned quickly how to compartmentalize the pain, suppress the trauma, and go on to achieve many successes and live a happy life, do all of the things. Studies show that for kids like me, having a good support network, in addition to having parents who are reliable sources of comfort and strength, results in one of the most powerful protections against becoming traumatized. I had loving parents and family and was always surrounded by tons of friends, but not every survivor can be so lucky. Despite all the love and support that I always had, I've always felt a bit alone and a little bit different, and if you are a survivor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I recognize now that what happened to me as a child has impacted all of my relationships and how I experience life. It has changed how I think, how I act. Neuroscience has given us a better understanding of how trauma and life experience change the function and structure of the brain and how it even can affect the genes that you pass on to your children. But that is only part of it. I recognize now that being silent and not talking about the abuse and my experience my entire life was not helpful, and that the silence surrounding abuse and the stigma attached to it that strongly discourages women from speaking up is not helpful either, to survivors and to society at large. An unexpected thing happened a few years ago when I discovered surfing. I finally began to confront the trauma that I had buried deep within and begin to heal. I'd always loved and been drawn to the ocean, as many of us are here. It was not just a safe haven for me in hard times, but a place where I enjoyed my best times and would go for perspective and to dream. I'd always been intrigued with surfing and wanted to learn how to surf for years, but couldn't find any friends to do it. The water was always too cold, the waves were too big, there were sharks, blah, blah, blah. The list went on. A few summers ago, I said, screw them all, I'll go at it alone. I booked myself a summer of surf lessons, or what I would soon find out to be a summer of severe ass kickings by the ocean. However, the more time I spent in the sea that summer, the better. No matter the conditions, and when I got back on land and had bruises or dry hair, I always felt better. Always. Better physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Over time, I began to realize that slowly and steadily the ocean was healing me. I've spent a lot of time learning about surf therapy and surfing as a therapeutic tool, out of a curiosity and amazement for the impact that surfing had on me. And I've learned that since trauma is not just a psychological in-your-head kind of thing, trauma is held and felt in the body. So certain types of so-called bottom-up types of therapy, such as surf therapy, art therapy, these sorts of things, which get you out of your head and requires you to focus and be fully present using all of your senses, have proven especially powerful with trauma healing, and are oftentimes more successful than traditional top-down therapy, such as talk therapy. In addition, there's all sorts of scientific studies why the ocean is healing. I don't pretend to understand them, I just love experiencing it. On top of all this, I believe that the ocean can teach us so many lessons about resilience, failure, and surfing falling is part of the process and something to be celebrated. And just going with the flow. Here's the train. That summer, I came to appreciate the power the ocean holds to help strengthen and heal us. And I wanted to share this simple truth that I had discovered, one that I think most ocean lovers know deep down but do not consciously appreciate, and harness it in a way that would empower other women and girls and help them build courage and discover the strength and greatness that they have within. And moreover, I wanted to introduce this power to other survivors with the hope that it would be as useful a tool to heal as it was for me. It was from my experience that summer that the idea of the OisF was born. The OisF is a grassroots organization that is evolving. We have two overarching goals. One, to foster kindness and strength in our girls, which we are working to achieve through the Rider program. And two, to support and empower survivors, which we are accomplishing by working to end the stigma, silence, and shame surrounding abuse through awareness, advocacy, and conversation, and by getting more women and children who have suffered abuse or been exposed to domestic violence in, near, or around the ocean so they can experience the power of the sea to heal. Last year, the Rider program really took off. A modern sort of Girl Scouts is what I hear people saying. Today, we have close to 300 girls enrolled. In the most basic sense, the goal of the Rider program is to form a support network for our girls, create an environment where each girl has a voice and a place where they can talk to each other and lean on each other. Through the Rider program, we are strengthening our community by strengthening our girls and their relationships. We are arming our girls with the tools they can use to counteract the challenges that life throws at them, teach them how to, as we say, ride life's waves. We are building this community through local events and other opportunities centered around the girls' common love of the ocean. At each Rider event, there are a few underlying themes that we strive to instill in each Rider. One, to celebrate each other's differences and uniquenesses. There is not one mold that any of our girls should be forced to adhere to. Each of our girls is by nature extraordinary. Two, to live with courage and above all kindness, and to support each other along the way. We want to create a community that inspires goodness and strength in each other, where challenges are faced together and overcome with each other's support. And three, to always give back to the community as often and as meaningfully as you can. The Riders have accomplished a lot with the OisF since the event last year. They've engaged in hours of community service, doing multiple beach cleanups, and over the holidays making Christmas stockings for children living in 180 safe homes. At a recent cooking event, the girls learned about healthy relationships while making healthy snacks. A few weeks ago, the girls discovered a new hobby in sewing and gained confidence by trying something new. They have stand-up paddle together and learned about the importance of standing up for themselves and others, being upstanders in life and not bystanders. They bonded and built each other's trust through partner yoga on the beach, among so many other things. And in a few weeks, we'll have our kickoff stand-up paddle event with Endless SUP in Manasquan. Being a girl growing up in my day was not easy, but is not much easier today. As the mom of two daughters, I want to raise strong girls, but as a community and people, we need to raise strong girls. It makes me so happy to see so many men here tonight. Your role as fathers, husbands, uncles, brothers is so important to what the OisF is trying to achieve, and I thank you for being here and helping to support our mission. We, men and women, have a lot of work to do. Empowering our girls is critical and a no-brainer for most, but what I think is equally as important is celebrating the strength of survivors, those whose power was stolen from them, and supporting them in a way that helps them heal and gives them a voice. Which leads me to my second purpose, to support and empower survivors. Up until now, our predominant form of direct support for survivors and their families was from supporting local organizations with boots-on-the-ground initiatives, those that are best positioned to make a difference in the here and now, like 180 Turning Lives Around. 180 is a well-respected Monmouth County-based organization that provides crisis intervention services, therapy, refuge, and state-of-the-art safe homes, legal support, and a whole host of other services to survivors and their families, including a 24-hour emergency hotline, one that I've given out half a dozen times in the last few months alone. The OisF will continue to support 180 every chance we get because we believe that the work they do to support survivors is invaluable. Last year, as I stood up here and I thanked you for your support, I said that with your generosity, we'd be one step closer to be able to provide our own boots-on-the-ground services and support to survivors. And I am beyond stoked to say that today, because of that support, we are able to do just this. This summer, the OisF is offering 3 new ocean-based programs for survivors of abuse and their families at no cost to participants. A camp sponsorship program where we are sending boys and girls who have been abused or exposed to domestic violence to attend a week of stand-up paddle camp with Endless SUP in Manasquan, or a week of surf camp with Hammer Surf School. We already have a number of kids enrolled in the program, and thanks to your generosity tonight, we have a lot of more spaces left to fill. And what's more, and personally what is the most exciting to me and brings me my journey full circle, is this summer, in just under 2 weeks, the OisF will be hosting a surf therapy program for women who are survivors of abuse or domestic violence. Not only is this the first surf therapy program for survivors in New Jersey, but based on our research, this is the first surf therapy program for survivors of abuse in the United States. We are super lucky to have Meg Comer, who is here tonight. I saw her somewhere. As an experienced surf therapy practitioner and co-chair of the International Surf Therapy Organization conference this year, work with us on the program and have instructors from Hammer Surf School and Sam himself provide the surf instruction for the women. This is another one of those times where I cannot possibly find the words to thank Sam and Nicole, Meg, and Nina and Brian Baldessere and the Endless SUP team for all they're doing for the OisF and for helping us make these goals a reality. A simple thank you does not do justice to the degree of gratitude I feel for them and the gift that they are giving these women and children. There are still spots open in all of our programs, so if you know of any women or children who might be of need, please tell them to go to the website and all the information is there for them. Supporting those who've already been exposed to abuse and introducing them to a new tool to help them heal is only part of our work. The other equally as important part of the OisF's work is raising awareness and acting as a vehicle to promote conversation about abuse. In order to reduce the stigma of abuse and the shame and guilt associated with it and truly support survivors, we need increased awareness of the prevalence of abuse in our communities and the extent of the trauma it causes. And we need to have honest, hard discussions about it. Many women are struggling and doing so alone and in silence. They are afraid to speak up for a whole host of reasons. One of the leading results of the many studies on the topic is that survivors are conditioned to believe the abuse is their fault, especially children. And as much as they intellectually might be able to understand that it is not, the feelings of guilt and shame can be overwhelming and destructive and prevent many survivors from living up to their full potential. I've almost never spoken to an audience about what the OisF is doing without one or more women approaching me in private to tell me their story and how they had never told anyone about it before speaking with me. Those discussions are humbling and terrifying at the same time. It reaffirms for me each time the need for dialogue. The OisF has been fortunate to have some really cool partnerships this year with Vera Sun on the OisF sunglasses, and of course, most recently, the collab with Bradley Brew Project. Aside from the fact that I love sunglasses and beer, and both companies are led by outstanding humans, and aside from the fact that I got to help brew the beer, which is pretty cool, and it's hands down the best beer I've ever had, aside from all of those things, these partnerships are so meaningful to the OisF, as they have expanded our scope of influence tremendously and put our mission in front of so many new eyes, ears, and hearts. The public response and exposure from the Bradley collab in just the past few days alone has been remarkable. Even as I stand here tonight looking out at all of you, so many of whom just came with a friend and had no idea what the OisF is all about, is proof that the ripple effect is as real as ever. Like a stone dropped in still water, the impact that each one of us can have is far greater than we think. Through our thoughts and actions, each one of us has the power to influence those around us, ripple by ripple. My best friend, Ted Lasso, thinks that we should all be goldfish, but I think we should be ripples. Through the ripples, we will create a wave, and I thank you all for being here and choosing to be a part of our waves of change.
Hey, how about